Now, these activists and President Biden say that it is a, quote, a myth. They call it a myth that transgender female athletes have a physical advantage over biological girls. As an aside, if that is the case, if this is a myth and not a fact, then you have to wonder why so few transgender men who are actually biological women are anxious to play on male sports teams. The fact is, you don't need a graduate degree in anatomy to know that these claims are specious. They just are. Both the medical and the physical science and the data show that men have obvious and significant advantages over female athletes. Unless you're the reason that your parents drank, you know that. It's just a fact. That's how our Creator made us. Even before birth, baby boys begin developing different hormones and skeletal structures that help them outperform women athletically. Testosterone exposure in the womb before the baby is born alters brain development in boys. This improves their motor skills, increases their aggression, two traits that benefit competitive athletes. Boys also experience what doctors and scientists call a, quote, mini puberty. They call it a mini puberty in the womb, so that shortly after birth, baby boys will gain weight faster than baby girls. That's biology. That's not political ideology, that's biology. And that ultimately contributes to boys being taller than girls on average later in life. Women are at a competitive physical disadvantage against men from birth. And this is especially clear at the very elite levels of athletics. Top-ranked high school boys, for example, regularly out-sprint female Olympians. Many high school boys, now we're talking the elites in high school, I wasn't one of those, but the really fine male athletes in high school, they could run faster than female Olympians, and they're in high school. In 2016, for example, American female sprinter Allison Felix, Miss Felix earned an Olympic gold medal in the women's 400-meter race. A year later, after she won a gold medal, more than 285 American teenage boys logged a faster 400-meter time than Miss Felix. Don't take my word for it. It came from a study done at Duke University. More than 4,300 adult male athletes across America clocked faster 400-meter times than Ms. Felix. And she was an Olympian. In many Olympic track or swimming events, the female world record holder wouldn't even qualify to compete against men. In strength-based sports such as weightlifting, men outperform elite women in the same weight class by as much as 30%. Activists try to distract from biological reality by claiming that men lose their advantages over women when the men begin taking cross-sex hormones. That's not true. The differences between men and women begin in the womb, and no amount of hormone treatments or surgeries can undo those. Estrogen shots don't shrink a man's heart or his lungs, nor do they change the structure of the pelvis or the size of a skeleton, nor do they change your height. One study revealed that men who have been taking cross-sex hormone treatments for 2 years can still run 12% faster and do 10% more push-ups on average than the women. That's just a biological fact. A mediocre male athlete's transition into a top-tier female athlete kills the dreams and it steals the scholarships of biological women. Some activists may say that a biological man has the same physicality as a biological woman. Put down the bomb if you believe that, but some This is America. You're entitled to say what you want. And some say that biological man doesn't have any advantage physically as over a biological female. But that doesn't change the laws of nature. That doesn't change the laws of science. It doesn't change the laws of anatomy. American female athletes are not lab rats. They're not lab rats we can subject to a social experiment. They have goals and dreams too. And they've worked hard too to develop their skills, to earn scholarships, to win championships. No female in America should end up on the bench with her arm in a sling because the Biden administration wanted a biological man to feel included. We should all worry about the swimmer from Virginia Tech who didn't get to compete in the final race of her collegiate career. That's a race she'll never get back because Ms. Thomas stole her spot in the pool. How discouraging. How discouraging it must be to dedicate your life to a goal, only to have these activists and President Biden rip them away because institutions are unwilling to accept the immutable facts of anatomy. The NCAA sets limits on the number of scholarships available for every sport, men and women. By definition, giving a transgender athlete a scholarship means a non-transgender girl will not get one. Duh. The locker room. It's become a nightmare. And don't let activists and President Biden try to tell you that protecting women is a controversial opinion. They're going to try. Poll it. You'll see this every time. 70% of Americans think that only girls should compete in women's sports. In fact, many transgender Americans are part of that 70%. They don't believe biological men should compete in women's sports because it's going to destroy women's sports. Yet their stories by some members of the media have been co-opted by people determined to force boys onto girls' teams and into their locker rooms.